Hey everyone, welcome back to Monkey RC. Today we are going to unbox my new crawler. Just kidding. I've had it for 2 days. I'm not really one for unboxing videos. I've done a couple, but honestly there's always a million unboxing videos out there. And with this one particularly, I had done a lot of research on this platform, or as much as there's out there, because this is a newer platform, the Enduro 12. They came out with a blue Ford Chevy-esque truck earlier this year, and now they decided to put out the Bushido, the mini Bushido, which is awesome because I've got the full tent scale one and I love it. But through some of the research I've seen about it and some of the questions I had about it, I got this this truck 2 days ago, and I already, like, from the moment it came out of the box, I already had modifications in mind. So to save you the time of another unboxing video, we'll just dive right into it. If you do want to know, it does come with a battery, it does come with a charger. It is a Dean's plug, so I shelved the little charger they have in here and I use just a regular LiPo charger. They are 2S. The battery is not labeled on it, but it is a 2S battery. So if you've got spare 2S batteries that are smaller, with Dean's plugs, they work just great on it. I was using one earlier today that was 1600 milliamp, and it worked great. And it obviously doubles the time from the 850. So I'm going to cut to a super awesome, super theatrical drop of the car in 3, 2, 1. Boom, there it is. Look at that. So here it is, the new 12th scale Bushido from Element or Associated Electronics, depending on what you want to call it. It is their 12th scale, and I can tell you right here, it is more comparable to the UTB 18 as far as size. And I'll get to the reason why I left the UTB 18 out for a reason. So, as you can tell, there's already been some serious modifications. I've only had this thing for 2 days, but I've done a lot of research on it, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do to it that would make this thing perform better. So, before I dive too much into it, we'll go around the outside. I had some, so stock, here they are, came with these 1.55 glued tires, which they feel pretty good. They're not terrible, but I already had something sitting on my shelf that's 10 times better than that, and that is the tires off my UTB 18, my old ones. So these are a Trial beadlock with Proline 1.55 Super Swampers. These are the G8 compound. And that right there, just that first swap, was awesome. The one thing I will say that's really interesting about this one that really took me by surprise was the hex extensions that are on it are super wide. Most times these stock ones, you get these like little thinner plastic ones, and we ought to get maybe some brass wider ones. Or metal or aluminum or whatever, but these ones are aluminum and they're super wide. So it was actually kind of a challenge, I don't know if you can see, to actually get this nut back on with these Trial wheels. So maybe what I'll do is I'll actually buy some brass shorter ones just a little bit, just so I can get some more bite on that lock nut right there. So first things first, out of the box that I did in order to accommodate these new tires is I did have to shave a little bit of the body, not a lot. Looks like I need to clean that up, but just a little hanger right there. But I did shave a little of this body to accommodate it. This corner was definitely more of a square and came down about that far, so I shaved that up out of the way so that I don't have any body rub, because personally for me, nothing annoys me more than body rub. The front bumper that came stock on it, I thought I was going to have to trim the bumper, but the two ends that come on it, as you can see right there, that's what it looks like normally, they actually thread off. So that was awesome. So I didn't have to cut anything. And if I wanted to put them back on later, I can. So yeah, just a little bit of shaving on this. I kind of rounded this edge a little bit too to accommodate when it's turning. And then I did my classic, if you've crawled with me, you've heard me talk about it a million times. What I like to do is my classic DIY roll rack or roof rack. It's not a full rack, but it just protects the top. What I do is I take old stock links off rigs that I have just kicking around. I got a whole freaking drawer of them. And I find two that match, they're the same length, and I mount them to the roof. And that will, when it rolls, it keeps the top from getting all scratched up. So I love doing that. Another thing I did was I took out the stock pull pins on Amazon. I was able to buy about 50 of these that already had the tabs in it, which are super awesome. So I ditched the stock ones, put them in a drawer, and now I have these upgraded ones, which I like a lot. Now for this one, I did want to go a little more scale. I have a build coming up that I'm really excited about. It's going to be my first full scale build. Everything about it is going to be scale. Most of my crawlers I've built in the past have all been about performance. I wanted them to crawl the best, steep, all articulate, everything like that. So this one is kind of like my putting my tiptoeing into some warm water with scale. So as far as the stickers going, I didn't really want to go with the classic look that it came stock with, so I kind of did my own sticker pattern. And then up here, I cut the Bushido sticker, had a little wing on it like that. I don't know if you can see that. So I cut that off, the big one, and I put it right there, and then I made my own patterned black vinyl stickers. And then in the back here, what I did was my first my first actual mounting of some scale accessories. I got a couple over here on the Land Cruiser that I haven't mounted yet, that a good buddy of mine who, his name's Sam, and he runs Pint Size Driver, and he's awesome for 3D printed stuff. So what I did is he made me a little cooler right here. I don't know if you can see it. That opens and closes. Super awesome about that. This plastic box, I bought a kit off Amazon, full of scale accessories that are going to be for my next build, but I feel like the kit came with too many boxes, so I decided to put one on here. And all I did was I just put a couple screws, not super huge ones, just tiny ones that were semi-short so they didn't interfere with anything underneath the body, to mount this and this. And then from Endura, I ordered, it's a 3-pack, I'll show you these ones, of these duffel bags that are super awesome, and they zip and everything. And these two are going to go on my next build. And so I had a spare one, and I think it looks pretty good on there. Makes my cooler look really tiny, but hey, you know what? I like it. I think it looks good. I like the bumper stickers that Element always puts out. This one just says, watch this. But yeah, I think that's it. Oh, no, one more thing. So when you get aftermarket ESCs, what they'll do is they'll come with, maybe I could find one right here. I know I got one kicking around. Yep, right here. They have what are called bind plugs for your ESC, and one of my bind plugs, I've got about 1 million of these, had a little tiny pick tool on it for when you need to pick it out or push it in or whatever, but it just hangs right here. Well, I thought it looked a lot like, if I remove that, like a little antenna. So I did that. I got it off, and just a little screw, and now I've got a sweet little antenna on there. So yeah, that's about it for the outside. I had to shave the rear wheels. If you can tell, so stock, this thing sits about this high. And I didn't like that at all, because the rule of crawlers is more weight, lower. So I'll show you how I did that. Take these off. I'll get a look at this. So what we're looking at is the Enduro 12's chassis. It's all, I think it's steel, maybe aluminum frame rails and stuff, but this is what I've done, and I'm going to kind of go through this semi-quickly so that you can see everything I've done as quick as I can. First things first, so the shocks on both sides of here were mounted to this screw right here, the furthest outside screw. I think the rear one was the first one in. Either way, I didn't like that. I like my shocks to be a little tucked in more for better articulation. So I unscrewed that and moved the shocks in. The next thing is their shocks that they have on it, so far, like I've said, I've only had it 2 days, so I can't really give an honest opinion on leaking or anything, but they seem pretty good. So I threaded the shock nut all the way up so that the spring can sit lower, so the whole thing just sits nice and tight, close to the ground. The next thing I did was this ESC has a lot of channels right here for lights, and I just happen to have some spare little lights from other stuff that fit in there and work with the remote on channel 3. I've got them mounted right here. I don't know if you can see the LED. I'm going to do something better with it, but I was just kind of seeing what it'd look like. So I kind of got myself some makeshift rock lights for right now. I might add some more lights to it. We'll see. But as it sits right now, I'm liking it. Oh, and here is the aftermarket battery I had that came out of another one of my cars. I've got like 6 of these, but this is 1600 milliamp compared to the 850, and it works great. 2S. The next thing I did is right here in the front bumper, you can see these little holes, these little slots for you to adjust your bumper. It came stock at the furthest setback slot, and it still hung out from the body pretty far. And so what I did was I removed these screws, took it out, and then I added another hole for this, and so I could get that bumper in just a little bit more. But in order to do that, I will warn you, I'll show you right here on the body, you can see the original how low the body came. And that went across all the way. So in order for that to fit, you have to shave just up to about where the light bucket is for that to fit. But it does tuck the front bumper in a lot more, and I'm pretty happy with it. The next thing I did was, and this one's going to be kind of hard to explain because it definitely took some creative thinking. Now, the stock servo that came on this, and this is one of the things I was not thrilled about this. Here it is. It is a unique size servo. All right. It is not a mini servo like you see in the 18th scale and the 24 scale, and it is not a full size servo like you can put in the UTV 18. It is a new, crazy little middle size, and it died on me within the first 20 minutes of me running it. I don't know if you can see. Let me get this up to the camera. It's not going to focus on it. Pretty much it's 3.5 kg, meaning the strength on it. And for a rig this big, that is super underpowered, okay? And it showed. It really did. Especially once I put on these trail wheels, it just killed it within. So this is going in the boneyard. I hang it on the backyard course on the fence with the rest of the stock servos that die on me and my friends. So off to the boneyard with that. So what I did was I had a low profile Amazon servo. It's 20 kg, way stronger. And I wanted to mount it in here. But the mounting tray that comes in this thing is meant for this weird size. So it didn't fit. A full-size servo will fit in here, as you can see, without any binding. But the mount itself is not set up for it. So what I did was I got the old handy-dandy Dremel out, and I dremeled the sides of the mount down so that the full-size servo could sit in there, okay? But what I did by doing that is I definitely weakened the mount, okay? I definitely weakened the mount, and I know it's probably going to break soon, but I wanted to play with this thing, and 20 minutes in, blew a servo. So half angry fabrication, half crazy mind, I made this fit in there. So I also trimmed down the servo, the actual full-size servo side arms, and drilled new holes through the center between the two. Let me see if I can show you. Let's see here. I'll just use this servo as an example. So what I did was I drilled a hole right there on both of these, right in the middle, because when a full-size servo sits in there, the top hole of this mount that sits in here matches up to where I would have put the holes right there. And then I just trimmed all this down. So now it can sit in there. It's not pretty. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's probably going to break on me, but it's working for right now. Now there are stories and rumors of aftermarket mounts coming out, but after I did this, after some YouTube investigation, I found a guy, and I'll have to put his page in the description on his page because it really helped me out a lot. But what he found was that if you take the stock servo mount out of the UTB-18, okay, and you trim the back where the links come in, all right, it will fit in here with the bottom screw of that UTB-18 mount matching up to this, down to right, I don't know if you can see this hole, because there's two bolts, I don't know if you can see. There's two bolts that hold that servo mount on, and the UTB mount fits that first one. So I think when this breaks, I do have the stock plastic mount on here, and I'm going to try that for a actual full servo mount that's really heavy duty. Now he also mentioned that these plastic frame girder rails right here that aren't part of the main chassis, they're just kind of support, have to be moved to the outside rather than the inside, but then it gets in the way of the shock. So it's a whole ordeal, but I'll figure out something. If I'll make an updated video when I eventually go that route and show you how I did everything. But yeah, the next problem I had when putting a full-size servo in there was that this, I don't know if you can see, let's turn this, I'll zoom in. There we go. The stock servo, the horn sat a little more in the center compared to this one off to the side. So if you try to use the stock steering link, it will, what I had and tried doing was I had the horn just cocked a little this way in order to accommodate that with the stock link unscrewed a bit. But what happened was I could turn this way sharper than I could turn that way. And that was because the servo arm was already sitting right here and it wasn't getting the right articulation. So the same guy discovered that the upper rear link of the TRX-4M is the perfect length for this. But the stock link is sitting with both the holes in the same direction. So he twisted his just using strength, right? So that it became a steering link. And I like that, but the plastic links on the TRX-4M are pretty brittle, pretty weak. So what I did was I took a stock link, I heated it up just a little bit with a lighter to get it a nice heated twist and held it there until it hardened up again. And then I took a piece of tin and I pressure wrapped it around the length to harden it up so it doesn't bend. And I'll back out so you can see my hands a little better. And so it doesn't bend. And then I put some heat shrink across it just to pretty it up. So now it's a pretty strong, stiff steering length and it works perfectly. Okay? Let's see here. So yeah, it was definitely some configuring in here. I hope that Element in the future does away with this. I don't get weird size servos. That seems weird. And good luck trying to find a replacement for this, other than maybe a stock one, but then you're running into the same problem of a very weak servo. Another thing to know about this is the ESC and receiver is made by FlySky. It is a FS-R4D, and if you look it up, it will tell you the BEC, or the output to the servo, is 6 volts. So if you do get a servo, a full-size servo, I recommend going low profile just for the fit. Make sure that it can handle 6 volt, which most of the bigger ones can. It even says it right there, BEC 6 volt. Now, what else have I done to this so far? I don't know if you can see right there, but you see that those huge hex extensions on that. That's crazy to me. I've never seen a stock car with that much flex extension. Oh yeah, so the next thing I did was I wanted some more lower end weight. And since there's not a lot of aftermarket parts for this yet, I opted for stick-on wheel weights. I just order some black ones off Amazon. You get a whole pack of them. They're 1/4 ounce each. And I stuck 2 on that side, 2 on this side. So we get a whole ounce of lower weight. And then, if you can see, on the back side of the servo mount, I put 1 on each side, just to give it some lower end weight. And yeah, that's pretty much it that I've done to this thing that I can think of off the top of my head. Like I said, I've only had it 2 days, and I already knew what I kind of wanted to do, or what I was kind of getting into. So yeah, as more time goes on and I figure out more mods for this thing, and as companies maybe start catching up to this platform and adding more things to it, I'll be really excited for it, because it's a sweet little rig. I like it a lot. I really, really like it. It's got a 380 Reedy crawler motor in it, and Reedy makes a pretty good crawler motor. I've got the stock one still in my full-size Bushido, and I've changed everything out in that thing except for that motor. I run a Hobby Wing 1080 in it, and that rig is awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I believe. If you guys have any questions, or you've done any other modifications yourself to this that are within a fairly good budget, because that's another thing I like, is I don't like to spend an arm and a leg on my builds. When I first started getting into this hobby, I really fell for the impression that if you want a killer crawler, you need to spend all this money on all these aftermarket parts. And it got old, and my budget got depleted. Every time I get a car, the car was say $300-400. I'd be $1,000 into it to get it to where I like. So homemade modifications and simple free mods that can make this super enjoyable is definitely up my alley. I really like that a lot. I will say though, these Trio wheels were pretty pricey when I bought them for the UTB 18. And obviously, for a good pair of Pro Lines, you're looking at $30 a pair. So there's $60 in tires sitting on it right now. I will say if you do go Pro Lines on the 155s, another mod I did was I used a grinding wheel, if I can find one, just like this, with the Dremel, and I siped these center tires in half. So you can see, normally it looks like a nice chevron, but I gave it a little more bite into it, which is another free modification you can do if you got a Dremel. I mean, you could even do it maybe with a saw if you're really careful, but that's too risky for me. So yeah, there it is right here. I love it. I'm very much in love with it. Oh, I was just running it, so I forgot to unplug that. Always remember to unplug your batteries. Don't want them slowly draining. And yeah, guys, I think that this rig is going to become one of my new favorite trail rigs. Stay tuned for my next build, which will also be an Element platform. I'm not going to say what it is yet. I'm super excited to show you though. And I will probably do an unboxing and every step of the way as I modify it, because that is going to be a more in-depth modification and build. But this is just super fun. Love it. Absolutely love it. Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, please comment below. I'll try to get back to you as quickly as I can. Sometimes I get caught up in my job and everything like that, and it can go a couple days before I get back to your comments. But I love the feedback you guys give me. It's super awesome. The good and the bad. I don't mind criticism. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe somebody sees something they think is absolutely wild and they want to give me a piece of their mind, and that's fine too. It doesn't really bother me too much. I just enjoy this hobby, and I enjoy building and just seeing what I can do to these things on more of a budget. All right. And another huge shout out to Sam at Pint Size Driver. Thank you again for the cooler. It is super awesome. He also, if you want to see, he's made me surfboards, gun cases. With, of course, I had to put the Microcrawler Club logo on it because I am a part of that here in Utah, and we love everybody's support and love hosting comps. But yeah, you guys have a killer day, and feel free to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And yeah, comment below. Thanks, guys.